Hey, Paul Ramondetta here, and welcome to Old Blokes Love Sneakers Too, Episode 2. In this episode, I'm joined by Joel Cilia and Luke Gilbert. Today, we're discussing the good and bad marketing throughout the years, and we find out Luke has had a bad week, and it really shows. Plus, finally, we have the same agreement on 2 out of 3 of this week's Rate, Hate, and Debate. Let's do this. Welcome to episode 2 of Old Blokes Love Sneakers. Today I'm joined by the OGs. We thought we'd bring them back, Joel and Luke.
Hey, Paul. Good to be back.
Hello, Jolie.
Evening, fellas.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
No worries. Always going to ask, Luke. Always going to ask. All right. So today, before we start, I just want to talk about some amazing feedback we've had from episode 1. We're about 150 downloads as of tonight, so that's amazing. So it's a really great response, so thank you for that. You can get us on iTunes, podcast.com, and SoundCloud, so you'll be able to pick this episode up there, and you can pick up other episodes as well. All right, boys, let's get into it. As you know, we always like to start with who you are and what you've done. They all know you from episode 1. We're just going to do a recap. Joel, we added to the collection this week.
So since we spoke last time, Paul, the shoes that I had ordered have arrived, and I'm really stoked about them. So they're the Jordan 4 Levi's in black denim.
Are you serious? Another pair of Jordans? What the heck?
Of course, another pair of Jordans.
Yes.
It's a religion.
It's a religion. So what's that? Make it 18 now? We're climbing.
I'm up to 18. That's right.
Look at you. Good work. Lukey, have you added to your 80 to 90?
Yep, I have 2 new pairs that I picked up because my wife thought it would be okay to go for a bit of a girls' shopping trip, and I promptly grabbed my daughter and headed over to the local Nike outlet. I grabbed some Huaraches in yellow. These are special Huaraches because they have a zip right down the center of the tongue with a really nice like a strap, a tag hanging off them. So they're yellow and black Huaraches, and
Ooh.
yeah, and they're really. I love Huaraches. Why do I like Huaraches? Because they got the sock, right, and then
in the inside you can slide them on, of course.
Mm-hmm. And I did something I haven't done for a very long time, and I bought a pair of Pumas. And these these are Puma Evo Nets, okay? Allegedly a $200 sneaker, which I paid $60 for. But these are like a full sort of sock design with a lace, and they have the crazy, the sole looks like it's filled with like miniature black and white beanbag balls, and it's a really cool effect, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on these particular shoes. I wear them to meetings. I think it seals the deal.
I wear them to meetings. Hey, yeah. I'm going to pull you up there. So you said they had laces. What the heck's going on here? But
well, they don't
they're garnish, right? It's like garnish.
Yes. Yeah, I don't need to do anything with them. I could probably actually remove them and just slide on without them. Actually, I might try that, but both pairs, unfortunately, do have laces. At the end of the day, they do have laces, but they are both sock style, real, they don't have a tongue. No separate tongue. That's what I like. No tongue.
Oh, my goodness. So those laces, mate, you're making us reevaluate that whole thing in the first episode.
We just want you to be really careful not to pull out a hip or something.
When you bend over. Hey, I've got some bad news. I'm going to report a downturn in my collection.
What?
It's I know. I think I'm going to be ostracized from the sneaker community. I've actually given a pair away. They were hand-me-down to my son. I think that was more of a payment for getting this podcast up. So I've actually given him my Under Armour Project Rock ones. They're the black ones. I like them, but I haven't been wearing them, and he's been wearing them to the gym, so they've gone to a new home. And the thing that's going to really get me ostracized is I went to the Nike store 3 times in the last 2 days, and I'm gonna buy. So I almost brought the Nike Zoom KDs, the new 12 ones, the black cement ones. And I had them in my hands. I asked for the size, and then I pulled out, which is a bit scary for me. I don't know what's going on. I might be getting the flu, I think. And the other ones is the new Giannis ones, the Freak ones. These ones with the orange and midnight navy. That's that new release. Actually, was selling really well, the guy said to me. So I asked him about them. So what are your thoughts on those ones, Luke? I know you were talking about those the other day.
like them because they seem fairly minimalist, but they're so minimalist they're underdone. So at 180 Australian, they're pricey for a basic shoe that doesn't have a sock. It's just a shoe with laces and a tongue, and there's just some fairly for a player edition, like a signature shoe, and like straight out the box. Like when you compare that to say those KDs or a lot of the other things getting around, you can see that it's a numbers game. Like you can kind of tell that they're maybe working the margin a little bit. Like they don't have any other really advanced features or point of difference. They have a reverse swoosh in the heel, and they're cool looking. You get up close, and they're kind of disappointing up close, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
it's a good one. I think that's what put me off. I think they were comfortable. They were a little chunky, but they weren't that LeBron heavy chunky. They were actually I think they'd be okay to play in. That was the other thing I thought
definitely.
With them. Because they had the padding. So I think they'd be okay for that. But you're right. They are it's all about that reverse swoosh, right? And the orange they'd sold out of the blue, which surprised me. They've had like the midnight navy full, and they'd sold out of those, and they had the orange ones there. So but look, I'll probably end up buying them by the time we talk again. But it was just, I don't know, maybe it's my age. I'm just a bit old now. I'm a bit more wiser with my shoe purchase, which is sad. So we'll have to beat that out of me. All right, so I think we're any change to our favourite pairs from last time? Anyone got something new they want to talk about?
I do want to talk about something, and I was reminded by one of our subscribers actually that I needed to mention my Air Max 270 collection. So,
yes.
Yeah, so these are Air Force 270s with the massive rear bubble, and they're available at mids. They've got like a magnetic strap across the front. I've got them in green, black and red, black and white, and all white. And I picked them all up. I think it was in the same week. Like I got a pair, and I thought, I'll get some more. Grabbed every color I could, and these are fantastic. Little bulky. You're wearing them and everything, but they are a fully featured shoe, and they look like $1 million. So I'd like to give a big shout out to. It's winter time, so I can wear the bulkiest stuff, and I'm really. We have winter in Brisbane. I'm really digging the Air Force 270 for that David Robinson vibe.
Yes, definitely. How many did you get? How many pairs did you end up with?
I've got 3. There is another pair that keeps staring me in the face, but they're actually like a high, and they're slightly different, and they keep appearing in these massive boxes at the outlets, but I haven't got for these. I like anything above a mid. I know that I just will never wear them, so I draw the line there. But no, they're a very nice looking shoe, and great with the long pants situation. So winter shoes. Yeah,
the long pant winter shoe. I love it.
Yeah,
Joel, have we upgraded your favourite pair?
Well, I think last time I was pretty excited before the Jordan 4 Levi's arrived, and I think I probably called them out as my favourite pair. But I've been wearing a pair that I bought maybe a month or two ago, another pair of Jordan 4s, and they're the Jordan 4 Bread. So it's in black, original colorway, grey, red, white, black. Yep. It's just classic. So I've been wearing those a bit, and I reckon they're back in my favourites now.
What a surprise. A classic Jordan 4 is your favourite.
You wouldn't have seen that coming, would you?
It's a shock to our listeners. I'll tell you, they'll be surprised.
And Paul, I just heard you before talking about the new KD shoe, and I noticed that they've got one in a nice cement colourway. Yes. So that compared to the Freak shoe for me, like that's the pick of the bunch out of the new ones.
Definitely. The cement one they're actually really good. They're comfortable too. I was playing around with
them.
They're
outrageous.
Yeah, they'll be good. I think I'll get those. Again, the price point's interesting here. We could talk about this. It's something we'll talk about in a couple of episodes. Is that, $220, it's still pricey for a pair like that, right? But anyway, maybe that's because I'm getting old again. Jesus, this really is old blokes today. All right, we're going to jump into our first segment. We're looking at what we're going to call shoe marketing. So obviously shoes and hype and marketing is something really big. So let's talk about the ones that we've either grown up with or things that you guys have really imprinted on you. Joel, what are you going to start with?
Well, for me, nothing stands out more than the Spike versus Mike advertisements, probably from about 89 throughout those early years of all those Jordans. That was just iconic. And, it's for me, it kind of set the trend for sneaker advertisements, of which many of the other NBA stars have followed. Another big standout for me that kind of followed soon after, still in the 90s, was the Little Penny commercials. I loved Penny Hardaway, and I thought he was, one of the many second comings of Michael Jordan at the time. But the original is still the best. Those Mars
definitely
commercials, and they were just fantastic.
Luke, do you love those ones as well? We've talked about those before.
Yeah, it's apart from it being the golden era of basketball, which we can go on about for forever and a day. It was like we used to get American night commercials on commercial television in Australia, which was absolutely preposterous. So we'd get
that's right.
The Barclay Opera, we get. I mean, how many times have you seen the Shaq? What's the password with all the great centers there in that ad? All the different things we had, Mike, all the Gatorade stuff, and just so much great stuff. Larry Johnson, we used to get Grandmama ads. It would all come here and actually, show up on TV. It's not like you had to seek it out like we had to seek out a lot of other NBA stuff back in the day. So all that stuff was really fantastic, and you just see it, and you'd have a VHS and you'd watch it, and you wouldn't fast forward those ads. You'd be glad to see them. You know what I mean? You'd wear the tape out watching ads. And I'm looking on the shelf right now, and I have quite a few pairs based on some of those commercials, man, for sure.
The commercials worked. They worked.
They worked. Damn,
we were talking about it, right? We were talking about this when we were doing the research. Those ads, like we said, they were so far and few between, but they were on TV. There was only one medium. Nowadays, I reckon I look at 4,000 different pairs through my Instagram and that. But those ones, nothing now registers because it's so much. Those ones were classics. And the list that I got, I found about 40 different sort of things. We won't talk about them all today, but they're all from 2005. I think the latest one is the, fall down 7 times, get up 8. That's the Dwayne Wade one, right? That's probably the most recent one out of all of these. It's really interesting how one medium has spawned, like for us, we can talk about these ones forever. Like the Grandmama one was one of my favorites. I had that there. That was just phenomenal, right? That was that. No one had ever done that. I think Little Penny was about the same time, but he'd done that. He'd sort of gone through and said, hey, what was interesting when I was doing my research? He actually wanted to sign with Nike, right? And I got a quote from him. He said, coming out of college, I would have signed with Nike. I wanted to. They were my number one pick. I was the number one pick. It was perfect for us. And they weren't interested. They actually said, we don't want to sign you. We don't think you are going to be a good pro. So they end up signing Billy Owens, Kenny Anderson, and Mutombo as their 3 main guys. And so that's how we ended up with Converse. Because like he said in here, he goes, no one actually ever went to Converse. And they pitched the Grandmama thing to him, and he went from there. So that was really interesting. It's an interesting way how he got there.
And that is how they sold the React Juice, like those shoes. I had a pair of those shoes. They sold them. That was because of that commercial. They had the commercial, and every single commercial was just backed up by a player edition. And it wasn't like you walk in now and there's colorways and stacks. Like there might be like 3 pairs of basketball shoes, and every one of them, all the way up to like the Rain Man ads with Sean Kemp and all that, the Kamikazes, all that sort of stuff. And they all were related to these like really involved television commercials. And everybody, if you didn't have a TV commercial with your own shoe, then you weren't in that group. You weren't in the upper echelon players. So.
And they were funny too, right? That was probably the other thing I noticed doing the research. There were some funny ones, right? Like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood we talked about, all the Barkley ones. Here was Barkley versus Godzilla. They're all actually interesting. Nowadays, everybody's got one about how you doubted me and how I got up and how, I was supposed to be number one and no one likes me, that sort of stuff. From KD to Westbrook, they've all got that. Hey, it's a grudge ad. It's and it doesn't resonate. The other one that we haven't talked about, which I can't believe you guys forgot about, was Choose Your Weapon. This is what made Converse that basketball shoe. Remember those?
That was the shoe that everyone used to wear.
No, but that's the part, Joel, is I love the ad, tried the shoe on, went never wearing these, but I love the ads. That was an interesting thing around. Yeah, and the colours in those days. Think about the colours you could get. It was that gold and purple. No one wore gold and purple in those days. I actually get the low cut. I had the low cut ones. I had a low cut version, and I don't think I ever wore them because of fear of, hey, these are just too bright. Nowadays, they're probably not bright enough.
Yeah, that's interesting. How everything was definitely a lot more subdued. People were not prepared to take the risks that they're prepared to take now. But that, like the Magic and Larry thing and all that, that is like right at the very beginning of when this sort of rolled out, and then went through all the way to NBA to Andrew Gaze getting his own Kmart brand
Pony
signature shoes and all that stuff.
That's right.
Now I'll say, I haven't mentioned this before, but every single time Joel talks about those Jordan 4s, I remember, and this is a sad story, so just give me a minute to compose myself, but I had a Lynx copy of Jordan 4s. And I used to tell everybody, oh no, because this is what they told you at the shop when you went into Williams the Shoe Man or whatever, and you got a pair of Lynx, which at the time we're talking like 80.
So that was about 86 when they came out. So we're talking mid 80s, right?
Yeah. So these shoes were probably like close to $100 for Jordan 4 replicas that they would tell you, oh, they're made in the same factory, but because of licensing, they have to be branded this way and all this sorts of rubbish. And that was the thing. Like, you had to really, you spending they were $200. Like, if you wanted J's or if you wanted pumps or something, like, they were $200 shoes. Like, and at that point, $200 that you buy a car, man. So there's no messing around. And that secondary market of Lynx, Spalding, all that stuff, there was tons of it, and there was a lot of crud getting around. So
it was either a brand new pair of Jordans or a Datsun 200B back then, wasn't it?
Yes. That's it.
I've just got my license. What am I buying? A car or shoes?
Difficult.
Yeah.
But the shoes every time. Hey, the other bit we're talking about when we were doing this was some disappointing marketing, right? And I think I've got a couple of bad ones, which I'll get you guys to comment on. There was one which we all know just famously recently. Actually, it was before he even had a Nike sponsorship. Mr. Zion. All right. Remember in the Duke game, Duke and they were playing, and he went to go to the basket and his shoe blew out, the Nike shoe. And we remember that. And the stock price went down the next day. They were talking about that. That's actually been really bad marketing, and then that was very hyped up.
Yeah. Look, the thing about that is, I don't know if they turned it around. What's he wearing? Has anyone actually, like, the momentum that come out of that? I thought that they could have jumped on or somewhat, like, nothing. It was like people that weren't into basketball were talking about that.
Definitely. Which
is rare, to get something that comes from outside and they actually just go, like, they notice and people are saying, who's this Zion, and you hear people explaining it to you, and it's completely what they're talking about. It's completely inaccurate, and they get the wrong end of the stick, like everybody does all the time. But from that point, now it's like, well, why hasn't someone jumped on board and said, this is a carbon fiber shoe, we made it for Zion? This is Kevlar reinforced, bang, bang, bang. There is no man since there hasn't been that combines this much power and speed, and this is what you need to. And it's like, is it happening? Is it going to turn up? Or, like, are we just going to sit around waiting? Like, how's it going to work out? Or are they just going to, make him wear extra socks? Like, how's it going to work?
Yeah, it was freaky. He got injured too. That was the other thing that killed him.
But it was just blow out.
He hurt his knee.
But were they Kyrie's or were they?
Yeah, they were Kyrie's. Yep. They were Kyrie's. He blew out, and then I think Kyrie went. And Kyrie went and had an investigation. He wanted to have a look at him as well. We probably got that wrong because we're old.
Did they learn anything about it? Did they learn that there was a defect in the shoe?
No, they hid it. It sort of went away.
Because I kind of remember the story about it just being, everyone just being super impressed with the power that Zion put through the shoe, and I don't feel like the brand really suffered.
No, it did. Initially, they thought there was going to be an issue, but yeah, you're right. But that was where it was this bad marketing that turned around. It was a really interesting piece.
Yeah.
The last one on this, because as we do with old blokes, we ramble on. So we're still on our first segment. Hey, I want to talk about. We do our production briefings and we get told we're going to go a bit quicker and we just ramble on. Hey, that's what happens. So there was one for the 4th of July. There was an Air Max 1 that was being released in the US. What they had was they had the Betsy Ross flag embroidered on the back. It was that Confederate flag for the American Revolution. However, Colin Kaepernick, who people might know, NFL fame, famously knelt when the national anthem on, a bit of a protest, sort of petition Nike, should I say, saying, hey, these are a bit sort of, they talk about slavery and those sort of things. So Nike actually pulled them, all right? So they've pulled these off. So they're bad press. But of course, one Donald Trump has had to get involved. And I'll just read you his tweet. If the Betsy Ross flag, the flag of the American Revolution, is too offensive for Nike to commemorate the 4th of July, maybe Nike should go with this. And there's a picture of a red and yellow Nike with a Nike swoosh with a Russian hammer. So it looks very Russian-like. So good old Donald, get in there. I think those things will sell out now. And I had to look them up the other day. They were about 15,000 for some of the pairs that actually got out and released. So I think he's done well. Yeah, crazy.
And this is the thing. We get fooled by stuff like this all the time. All these, like, it's like a rap beef. They sit around and just like, yeah, I'm going to rap. Like, your career is dwindling. I'm just going to go out and absolutely do this. And it's just going to be a whole heap of, like, legitimate fake news. And then we're going to push this and create a... And it just... I mean, I understand, like, where Kaepernick is probably saying, yep, this is not what he wants to get behind. And he's a advocate for social justice and equality and all these sorts of things. And that's his, you know, he actually kind of put his money where his mouth is and stood behind that and got blackballed by all the different franchises and that sort of thing. So if he says it's not cool or whatever, then who am I to say otherwise? But when it comes to a lot of these different sorts of things, it's just, it is just a whole lot of hype wound up to try and escalate the value of things or implicate scarcity when it's not there. And it's just, this is not why you started this podcast and why we're interested in shoes, because I can say, like, if I can speak for the three of us, we are not hype beasts.
Yes, I think you've got that.
Yeah, and we don't really support the notion of just going after something because it's potentially valuable or because, like, you know, Joel bought these amazing 4s with this crazy Levi crossover and everything, but he didn't buy them because he thinks that, you know, it's going to be some sort of exclusive thing. He bought them because they're wicked shoes and he probably loves wearing them.
I bought them because I'm stuck in the 90s, buddy. I haven't moved on. So this whole segment about the new advertisements, for me, I'm just kind of thinking, can I even think about a recent advertisement?
Yeah.
I mean, anything from any current player for me just kind of doesn't even register.
No.
I think that's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think the recent ads, like we've talked about, are actually anything that we're going to bet there. All right, I'm going to wrap you two up because we do have to do more than one segment today, or our producer will lose his mind. He's looking at me with bad eyes again. It's 2 in a row, by the way. So we're looking at segment 2 now. We're going to switch gears. As everybody knows who's listened to us so far, we do mainly talk Nike. So we're actually going to try and talk something other than Nike for the next 5 or so minutes. This segment is called There Is More Than Nike. So, Luke, I want you to lead us off. I know where we're going to head, and I think it allows you some breathing room, and maybe an apology might even follow, I reckon.
Oh, man, okay. I don't know if I don't know about the apology scenario. Okay. And I think I touched on it. I don't know if it was in the last episode or just when we were talking about the all the NMD stuff, all the Adidas stuff. And I noticed that Adidas had released the new Spider Mitchell shoes. They got those out at Foot Locker. They don't put them in House of Hoops because that's a Nike exclusive section. They're just in the standard Foot Locker if you're looking for them. Again, they're fairly basic. They're missing a load of any sort of engineering element or anything. So I wasn't even sure what the price point was, but they kind of missed the mark. And as far as moving away from maybe even regular brands and maybe moving towards a like fashion side and really high value sneakers, whether I should have or not, I really enjoy my Balenciaga laceless dealies. Yeah, that I acquired when I was down south hanging out. Yeah, and they They don't come out much because obviously I don't want to run into a weather situation or an outdoor situation or anything apart from just like tiled floors and straight from vehicle to tile access is what I'm looking for. But when I do wear them, you don't tell me you don't think about these things when you select the shoes you're going to wear. You're like, okay, so what am I going to walk on? What could I possibly come across? You know, if you're got a lot of kneeling to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So no, the Balenciagas, I'm looking for more pairs right now. I want to get some different colors and everything like that. But it is a stupid exercise, and I can't defend it in any way, shape, or form.
Right. I reckon, Luke, the hardest time to choose a pair of shoes is when you're on holidays, because you can't pack everything. Like if you're going to be walking around, you got to wear something that you're going to damage. So I'll usually go for something that I know that is like absolutely iconic that I can just go and get a replacement pair of. Because I always want a fresh pair of, I'll always want a fresh pair of Air Force Ones, for example. And if they're looking a little bit dirty, I'll take them on holiday so I can beat them up really good. And by the time I get them back, I'll think, oh, maybe I need a new pair because they don't look fresh anymore.
Yeah, that's
method to the madness.
No, and that would never. I'm way too dumb to even think of that. I should have. So a pair to wear and a pair to keep. That's the way to get ahead. So you can have a travel pair. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
It's a good plan.
All right, all right, you two. I'm gonna pull you up there because Luke, you went down the wrong path. This is why we have production meetings. Remember?
Okay.
I want to talk about something around New Balance and your mate Kawhi and. Something might have happened with him and a team that you follow in the NBA.
No, okay, my bad.
Someone's a bit excited.
This is what happens.
No, okay,
right? This is what happens when you let the talent lead.
No, okay, but we need to count it in though. You got to go like 3, 2, 1 because now this is not part of the podcast, or is it?
Yes.
Oh no, that's
all right. Let's just pretend that we can't hear Luke, and I'm going to tell you.
Wait, I've got to get my head straight. Okay, yep, no problems. I'm done.
Max is in stitches over there.
Yeah, no, you're right. But like I said, it's been a terrible week. Okay.
All right. We don't do we do straight runs here. We don't actually edit. So
no, I understand, but this is good practice for him.
All right, so I want to talk about New Balance. And our mate Kawhi, or Master of the NBA, as people are calling him at the moment. If people don't know this, Kawhi was with Nike. He had this claw, had a really good symbol. It was a hand-painted or a hand-sketched thing that had his number and his lettering. It was fantastic. He left Nike, just assumed that he had this logo with him. All of a sudden, Nike said, yep, sorry, we've got a copyright on that. Too bad, so sad. So he's been suing Nike for probably the last, 3 years, I think. The part of the story that you're about to jump in, Luke, is Los Angeles Clippers, in their courting of Mr. Kawhi Leonard, looked at getting the trademark for him and we're going to give it to him. But Nike have pretty much said, no, we're keeping that. But I just thought that was an amazing thing that New Balance have now got this Kawhi brand. They don't have the logo, so they're sort of suffering. What do you think, Luke?
Well, it was actually, not to correct you, but the NBA also, because the Clippers... not everybody understands, but the Clippers have had their scouts and their admin team, their general manager and Lawrence Frank, they've had all their guys at every single game this year. They have not made a secret about the fact that they are he was the apple of their eye, and they have been pushing. So much to the fact that I made several bets that he was coming, and I was not surprised at all when he came. So it's been a pretty poorly kept secret, and the Paul George thing came right out of left field, and I don't think anybody expected that. As far as the New Balance situation, it's a really weird combo because New Balance is the last thing you think of when you think about like basketball shoes and everything. As far as his actual shoes, from what I've seen, I like them. If they were for sale, I would probably buy a pair, especially if they had like a Clippers colorway. I would cop that. I'm looking right now at a pair of CP3s that are in Clippers colors, and as soon as they were released, I ran out and snapped them up because I've been pretty much a lifelong Clippers fan. Yes. So this is all big news. Regrettably,
this is what I'm waiting for. This is my apology time. I want to hear it.
So I was in that House of Hoops on the weekend, which, of course, the news came out before I went in again, and I had to re-look at some of the Paul George pairs because I might have said some disparaging comments about him in the last episode, and I'm going to issue an apology if he catches this at any point. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that Damian Lillard made you his bitch, and that your shoes are nice, and I would definitely think about copping a pair, especially if you had some Clippers colorways, because I have always liked the shoes, and now I'm going to welcome you and your 30 points a game to my team. So thanks for coming.
I can't wait till we put the backing up the truck music right there.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about more than Nike here, boys? It's a pretty hard subject for us, isn't it? There's a whole lot of brands we could talk about. Joel, is there anything you want to talk around?
Well, I'm open to non-Nike, non-Jordan shoes. I mean, for me, my love affair with all the Jordan and Nike stuff that I've got in my collection is really about choosing an iconic shoe. So, a shoe for me that stands out is the Adidas Stan Smiths, because you just can't go wrong with those. You get one of the original ones with the green tabs on the back, or even there's a bunch of them around at the moment in white with different sort of fabrics and so on. But like they always look good. So, I've got a pair of those. That's my confession. They do sit up high in the wardrobe behind all the other boxes, just to remember a time when I didn't obsess about Nike and Jordan as much as I do right now. But, if it's iconic, I'll definitely think about it a little bit more than I would anything that's new and fashionable.
Good point. Yep, the old styles is probably the ones they get you with, right? I think
classic,
the Tiger
classic.
And those sort of things, those sort of pieces. The one that actually has come on, I thought, when we were talking about other brands, was Under Armour. I think they've done some really cool stuff, right? I'm not sure I'm not sure I like the Steph Currys, but I do like the Rock series, right? I know I gave a pair away this week, but I really like that series. I think the Rock stuff actually is really good for gym wear, so that's why I've given them to my son to wear to the gym. But I actually think they've done okay, right? They've come into a market that is still Nike dominated, will always be Nike dominated, but I think they're up there with the Adidas and Reebok sort of stuff. Reebok is the other one that dropped right off. We could talk about them forever, right? They
that's true.
Today, they actually even exist at the moment. I don't know what they do. So
I think they make aerobics shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, we know the ones, and the chicks wear them with the pom-pom socks. Look,
that's right.
I need to be a conscientious objector, and I stand by myself and a lot of people in my network of shoe wearers and shoe buyers that we will say, with all due respect, that Under Armour's straight trash. Like
that's okay. You don't have to have all due respect. That's why you're here.
This is like we try because they're popping up and they come and they show in outlets. So a lot of the places you'll have a Nike, Adidas, you'll have a Fila or whatever, and then one of them will throw up. They don't discount really significantly at all. They got no good sort of pairs, or they're not trying to get out there on the feet, and the stuff that people are wearing are clearly lower value units, as in they haven't put the money into the development and the materials and everything like that. They are so far underdone. I mean, it's really difficult to challenge someone that has a kind of market share in all the different athletes over all the different sports and all the history to lean on. But Adidas has really come along, and they've got a lot of signature athletes, and they're getting back into the basketball thing. Yeah,
definitely. But, they're on their way back, I reckon. But yeah.
Is there other Under Armour athletes except for Steph?
Yeah, the cross training. They don't actually. I think the Rock and Steph are their signature athletes. They do more around that cross training, functional stuff. They've got a couple of pairs that aren't too bad. They're a bit like that Nike Lexicon stuff. That cross training piece. So they're okay. I've only ever worn, like I said, I've had the Rock ones, but I haven't used any of the other ones. All right, let us keep moving because we are definitely rambling at the moment. All right, so we've always talking about shoes. I think what I want to talk about now is what we're calling love for more than shoes, but they're related things, So I think we're going to start with, I think this is going to be Joel's favorite topic. We're going to talk with socks. Joel?
Sock height. Is that what you
can talk about socks however you want. Sock height is definitely where we're going to head.
This is a really important issue for me. So sock height is 6 inches. That's where socks should be.
So they classify that. So I actually did Look, I've done all the research this week. You guys,
and that's the end of that argument, by the way.
So that's where
there's no research required.
So they classify that as the mid calf or crew spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And for me, I've got a number of different ways of wearing them. I've got just the black ones that'll go with a classic black shoe, and I've got a bunch of those just with the Nike swoosh, just to keep it nice and simple. But I also have a huge collection of stance socks.
Oh, okay.
So lots of different colors. Some of them are some really kind of interesting ones. Like I've got the Michael Jackson ones with the Thriller image on one side and the standard Michael Jackson sort of portrait on the other side. I've got some artistic ones with some, classic sort of paint, sort of artwork and so on. But I'll wear those to work. Underneath my work shoes as much as I'll wear them with the sneakers. But sock height, it's really important, and that's the end of that.
Hey Luke, you need to respectfully agree to disagree here.
Let's hear it, Luke.
Yeah, no, that's not. I don't think it's almost like boxers and briefs. To me, that seems like you'd be combining mid-calf socks with some sort of jockeys, and I don't know that that's really the way that we're trying to move forward. It's basically I've got low ankle and mid ankle depending on whether I've got low or mid shoes. So basically there's a new sort of hybrid ankle which is like a mid ankle sock now, which you can wear, that's just right so that you don't have the tongue or something like annoying you and getting past your sock length. But there's no sock exposure. Like I'm not hiding them like deck shoe styles, but they are, and there's all different types, so different colors and different brands. And something that just about socks, and this is going to be very quick. NBA players tend to wear new socks every time they wear. They wear a lot of times new shoes, but new socks and everything as well. I don't know how it goes with you guys, but if you wear new socks, is that challenging to play basketball in brand new socks that haven't even been washed? Because I feel like it's like wearing plastic bags and your feet slip around like crazy and it's a nightmare. Am I the only one that suffers from that, or? It
depends on the brand, I reckon.
You're definitely thinking about it more than I thought about it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I get it now that you've mentioned it. I reckon that's probably true. It takes a little while before the padding kind of softens up a little bit and they just kind of fit in the shoe, doesn't it?
Definitely. And if you're like stopping hard or you're doing like basketball movements, if you've got a brand new fluffy pair on, your foot slides around in the sock itself. You don't have grip inside the shoe, and you'll end up with black toenails and all sorts of nasty stuff. So that's just from my experience. But I could be wrong, but that's the way that goes.
No, I think you're right. I think there's some. That putting on new socks can actually feel great. I'm actually Joel's going to have a heart attack. I've actually got long socks on with shorts at the moment, Joel. I've got my Stance Anthony Davis ones on. So they've got a 2 on one side and a 3. And my favorite bit with these, because obviously he's number 23, the amount of times I put them on and look down and his name is Davis Anthony. It's just too many times to even be a joke. It's just ridiculous. So I'm like, that's the wrong foot. I've got to have it the other way. So Davis Anthony, who plays for the Pelicans, wears number 32. I think it's Anthony Davis's alter ego. So.
Yeah, he's probably a nicer guy too.
Yeah, he was. He didn't want to leave. He's still there, I think.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about, my style of socks is definitely short when I play, short when I wear shorts. That sort of thing. I like that. I'm looking at my guide here. I like that from Ped, which is probably ankle downward. So Ped is your ankle style. Then Linear is extra low cut. And then you've got the Invisible. And then they've also got one, which I didn't know was called the toe cover or mute, which just goes over your toes. But I think that's more for the female wearing their high heels. So next time I've got my high heels on, I know that I'll be wearing the toe cover mute style, so I've got that covered.
We use Luke's analogy of the underwear being sort of some way of referencing sock height, would the invisible ones be like a G-string?
Mankini, I was thinking.
Don't think about that. But the ultra lows, and we've touched on this now, to just clarify, if you're wearing long pants, you don't wear white ankle socks or anything with that. Obviously, you wear
long
suitable
pants
length.
is definitely
Yeah,
long socks, long pants, standard sort of style, right?
No, we understand, but Dwayne Wade doesn't understand. So in between falling down 8 times and getting up 9 or whatever he happened to be doing, he was known for exposing his lower calf and ankle regions and having micro socks and different types of shoes on. So he sort of he was an early adopter of that look that's been popularized by himself and quite a lot of inner city drug dealers. So yeah.
But I just want to finish this. When I was playing, a lot of my playing days was the Converse tube sock, right? And it wasn't one pair; it was that 3-pair style, So you had your knee high, and then you had your mid calf, and you had your low, right? And they had to be coordinated. You know what I remember about those the worst was you'd get your pair of shoes because you'd buy them in I'm a size 11 and a half or 12, so I'd buy my size 11, put my 3 pair of socks on, couldn't fit my shoe because you just had they were so thick, right? So I cottoned on, so I didn't go to the store, and I'd end up. There were some days I was wearing size 13 because of my 3 pairs of socks. It was just ridiculous.
DeRozan wears like a 13 and plays in a 15 because he wears 3 pairs of socks, and a lot of guys do that. They run 2 sizes bigger because they've got tape, socks, and a brace and everything, and that's like you're saying, Maxie. That's how they get down, and it explains a lot because they got a lot going on in the lower limb. Getting ready for a game. It's not just whack on a pair of ankle socks and throw some shoes on and run out there. So,
yeah, that's right. I remember playing in those Converse socks, Paul, and like they were the worst socks to play in. They had no elastic in them, and they would just slip around inside the shoe.
Yep.
So if your shoe wasn't absolutely tight on them, you would absolutely cause yourself an injury. Talk about black toenails, Luke.
Oh yeah.
Those are the socks for it.
Add those to your Dunlop volleys and you were good. All right, we're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, we're heading to our favourite last subject, boys. Hate, rate, and debate. All right, we know what this is all about. So for anyone who's listening for the first time, we pick 3 pairs of shoes, or our producer picks 3 pairs of shoes, and we'll have a look at them during the week. One is a sort of hype style, then we look at a classic, and then we've got a theme. We're going to start with the hype one today, boys. So as you've seen, these will also be on the Instagram page, and there'll also be a link on Twitter for these, so you can have a look at these while you're looking at the podcast, so they'll all be up there. The first one we're looking at is our hype shoe, which is the Off-White Arrow Apple Suede, I think I've got that right, and leather sneakers. I know we don't like to talk technical on here, but I'm just going to go into a little bit of technical speech. It features the silhouette signature stitched on leather arrow at the quarter panel, mostly in a light grey. There's a rounded toe with tonal flat laces and a rubber outsole. Goodness, that is technical. All right, what do we think, Joel? Are we hate, rating, or debating?
I'll tell you, my first impression when I look at this is I instantly think about KT 26s.
Yeah.
All right, so this is that classic, like maybe even 1970s sort of running shoe that you maybe spend about $25 for at Target. And I remember when I bought my first pair of decent sneakers, they were a pair of Reeboks, and I probably spent $100 on them. My dad said to me, you can buy 4 pairs of KT 26s for the same price. for the same price. That's what I think about, and then it's got is the little zip tie on it to make it look like it's fancy. No, I think
that adds like $400 to the price, right? If you keep the zip tie on.
Absolutely. It's that's how he's making money. So
hate or rate?
It's definitely hate. It's definitely hate. I'm out.
Mr. Luke?
Yeah, I hate him.
Is that it? We're getting straight hate from you today.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you know what got me? It looks like the arrow is stuck on. It literally looks like someone in craft was like, hey, I've got to make a pair of runners. Hey, I've got these extra bits of felt. I'm sticking them on. All right. The other thing that's off-putting, these are about $675 US. So
of course they are.
And that's because you've got the tag on them, so you can return them, right? No. So I think we're all going to be our first agreement. We're all going to hate this one. So I hate this. One. That is our first one. Congratulations, boys. All right, we're going to look at our classic. So the classic here today is a Nike, and it's the Air Max 1 Ultra Air Max Day, they're called. We're looking at the red, and it's a grey colour, more More technical terms. We're going to have to start calling us old blokes like technical sneakers soon. This is a Tinker Pen design celebrating 30 years of groundbreaking technology and cultural importance. They are reminiscent of the first ever Air Max Day release back in 2014. A nod to the aforementioned red, look at the 1987 original. Now, Luke, I'm going to start with you, mate. Do we hate or rate?
I'm going to say hate, and I'll tell you why. As Maxes go, there are many more pairs, so they got better with age. I'm holding a pair of 97s, and they're 10 million times better. So, no, if I was going to allocate some Air Max money, then they've gotten, to me, they've gotten better with age, with performance, the looks, the colorways, and all those sorts of things. They're fine in isolation, but if you knew the other Maxes exist, you'd probably pick those first. Well, I definitely would. So I'm going to give them a hard pass.
Yes. I think we might all be three agreements here. Go, Joel.
Absolutely rate them. So, nope, you're wrong. Love them.
Hey,
love them. They're iconic. It's Tinker Hatfield. They're iconic, right? They set the tone for all those Air Maxes that followed, and one of the earlier shoes with the visible air in the sole. I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't get the red ones myself. I'd probably choose something that was a little bit more classic looking. Probably go for a black one or a white one. But yeah, I absolutely respect what that shoe means in the history of sneaker making.
Good. So that's a rate for Joel. All right, I'm gonna hate, actually. Look at me. Normally, look, I like them, but like Luke said, I think they get better with age. It's like a wine. I've just seen the 90s, the Air Max 90s pair that Max brought. Our producer, he just brought a pair of these, and they look way better. I'm actually looking at them right now. I like that exposed sole. I think that's fantastic. I always remember as a kid, when your runners were getting a bit worn, you go, "Hey, Mum, these are no good. Can I pop the air? Can I pop the air?" So that gives me that sort of thing. So I'm just going to go hate, not because I don't like the runner. I think obviously we all like the Air Max, but I think it gets better with age, and that was actually what Luke said. So that was one of my notes. So I'm going to go hate as well. Look at that. 2 hates for me. This is crazy stuff. All right, our last shoe for today is the theme style. Now, we've gone a little bit different. It's the Adidas Disney Pixar Toy Story 4 edition, actually, with the movie coming out in Australia this week. We're looking at the Buzz Lightyear model. Okay, more technical stuff. Either a pale yellow or striking black woven upper with colourful contrast like blue heel counters. There's 3 stripes branding, obviously because it's an Adidas, on the plastic cage reinforcing the palette, grounded below flat white or black laces. Sounds like coffee. This actually comes in 4 different styles. They've got a woody one. They've to go with the Buzz one. They've got Bo Peep as well, and they've got a newest character, which I don't know, and I've got to be really careful how I pronounce this. It's Forky. So I don't know him. I haven't seen Toy Story 4. Joel, what do you think about the Pixar Adidas Buzz Lightyears?
Oh, I don't even know if it's worth responding, quite honestly. Or I wish I could just give you crickets. It's terrible. Why?
Actually, we might put that
like
in.
this?
How about we put a sound in when Joel? What do you think, Joel? And we're just going to put crickets in. All right, we won't do that. So I'm guessing that's a rate. So I'm putting it down as a rate. Right?
Yeah, you read that really well, Paul.
Yeah. I can read the room. I read the room. All right, we're going to move on then. We're not even going to go through that. Luke, What do you think?
I actually hate, because I have seen Toy Story 4, and as part of the franchise, it was trash. It was forced. Forky was actually a great character, and we actually, in my house, have some Forky merchandise. You'll be careful how you say that, but you're right. We have some Forky merchandise already, so they might be, worth watching just to see the introduction of that character. I'm holding Kyrie 5 in grey with the lime. These are, when I bought them for my nephew, who doesn't live here but keeps his shoes here.
It's the shoe stories, you're us.
All right. No, because I'm not letting him wear these to the kindergarten, because these are Kyrie 5s in Buzz Lightyear colors, and that's why I bought them. He identified with that.
Love
they're
them.
they're not officially branded as such, but that's sort of like the nickname for them. They are like Kyrie 5 Buzz Lightyears. They are very much inspired that way.
Right.
And they make the Adidas's look very second rate. So I'm gonna hate on those.
All right. Hey, we're going to put a photo up of those ones, Lukey. We'll put that up on Instagram so people can have a look at that just after the hate, rate, and debate segment. I'm going to go hate as well. That's 3 hates for me today. I hate doing that to shoes. Look, I just don't. This is just commercialism at its best, right? Hey, we've got a movie coming out. Adidas, let's throw some runners. You know, I can't wait till the John Wick editions come out, right? That'll be my favourites. And I can't wait till the Daisy John Wicks, which is actually the dog, for anyone who doesn't know, is the dog in John Wick. And so I can't wait for those. Oh, this is just, this to me was just trash when I was looking at it the other day. So I'm putting a hate down as well. All right, boys, that was lots more hate than normal. Normally I was the one who loved stuff and tried to defend them.
Yeah, that's right. You guys need to get a bit more sneaker love.
We might have to do this on a different day. All right, so I think we're pretty much done for today, boys. We're at our final word. As you know, we like to wrap this up with a statement, anything we're looking to buy. Joel, what do you think? What are you going to finish off with today?
No, I don't have anything new in my sights at the moment, but I am going to keep an eye out for some more classics. But I'm still not convinced on any of this high color new fashion stuff. But keep trying, boys.
Excellent. Mr. Luke?
I've been insanely busy doing things outside of sneakers this past sort of week or since we last spoke, so I haven't had a lot of chance to really delve into it. But what I have done is I had a unique experience where I went ice skating. Now, you tell me what shoes you would wear if you knew you were going ice skating.
Ice skates?
Ice skates was where I was headed.
That's very good. But you don't drive to the ice skating rink in ice skates.
You take 2 pairs. What the heck?
You need to consider the possibility of theft while you're out on the ice. You could have... That's right.
This is a terrible story.
Yeah, you could have wet socks, which I did end up with wet socks. And keep in mind that you've taken if you're not a regular skater and you're using the rink's skates, you've put your foot straight in where someone just had their foot, and then you've put that in your shoe again. So you can't be putting any don't wear any high-profile stuff out to the rink. Just if you find it in the yard, take it to the rink and keep it moving. That and House of Hoops sells Westbrooks for $190, and I copped mine for $70. So keep an eye out, people, because there's bargains out there.
So I had 2 bits. Luke talked about it before. That Spider Mitchell stuff has come out. We deviated very well when we talked about those. Like Luke was saying, they're not in House of Hoops. If anyone's looking for them, just in the standard Foot Locker. I had a look at them. They're not too bad. I like Spider Mitchell because I've got him in a whole lot of fantasy basketball leagues, but we'll talk about that another time. My last thing is, it's a bit off topic. When I was doing my marketing research and I was sitting around the house, you know who does the best marketing? Female shoes. Because I know all about Lamboutins, which is the red bottom seal. I know about Fendi's. I know about Jimmy Choos. And that's just from listening, right? And just from seeing all the stuff that appears in my Instagram feed. So basketball, you need to get better at this stuff. You need to get your advertising from where the Lamboutins come from. Weird way to end, but I like it. All right, boys. I want to thank you too.
Is that a good tip? Is that a good tip, or is that just speak about what you follow on Instagram? That's what the hell that is. It's just
how I was trying to get out of
here. Yeah. Heels and bras. That's it. Basically, I'll click. Follow. What? No wonder you're getting smashed with high heels. How ridiculous!
I didn't think about that. I thought it was they could hear me. I was always thinking my phone was listening. All right, people. We're going to wrap up here. Thank you for listening. If you got this far, we thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Again, the OG has come through. I think we've done a great session. So thank you, boys.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having us.
As always, let's remember to subscribe to the podcast. We're now on iTunes, podcast.com, and SoundCloud. Again, follow us on Instagram. You'll see the shoes we talked about. We're going to put Luke's shoes up and anything else we sort of go through there. But thank you for listening.
Hey there, Max Ramondetta here, producer of Old Blokes Love Sneakers Too. Just want to remind you that for any updates, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Old Blokes Love Sneakers Too, and you can find this episode and others on iTunes, SoundCloud, and podcast.com. Our music today was done by Ben and Varsim. Be sure to follow him on Instagram at Bings Beat, or on Facebook at Ben and Varsim Drummer. Thank you for listening.